Hello and welcome. My name is A-XERPT, and today we're gonna play some more Town of Salem, obviously, and we're gonna have some more fun. We're gonna actually try to play this time. I know the last couple of videos have been about Kickstarters. I did tell you that I was in 4 Kickstarters, and I told you about the Tea Mouse, and I told you about Fireflies. No, I'm not doing that theme. And I told you, well, I had told you that already that I was in the Town of Salem Kickstarter. The next one was the Wooting One. We're gonna do good dog. Good dog. So, the Wooting One, I'm in a Kickstarter campaign. It's still currently going, obviously. Well, it's not obvious. They're still going. They're in mass production, I believe, was the last time I heard. And don't ask me about the specifications. I know I said in a previous video, please don't ask me about specifications, because I don't know. I don't know. I just know it's really cool. Keyboard. I had bought it back when I had a pretty good amount of extra money, unfortunately. Well, I say unfortunately because now I could use that money. But I bought it when I had a lot of extra money back when I was planning to build my computer. I was actually hoping that it would be here by now while I had my computer, or at least when I first started my computer, or started building my computer, or had it up and running. And unfortunately it didn't work out that way, and I understand that. In the previous videos we had talked about, or I had talked about, the Tea Mouse and the Fireflies having to deal with supply chain management. Same goes for the keyboard. It seems like everybody who does electronics is a lot of engineers. It seems like a lot of people who do electronic things are engineers that have great ideas. Let me do that. Actually, I'm not going to perform my task. Who have great ideas, who have the programs, who have the ideas and the means to accomplish these ideas. The problem comes when you actually have to make it once you have it backed. Creating a small prototype or a single prototype is one thing. To create an entire mass production is a completely different thing. And so it becomes an issue. When you have an engineer who goes from one item to another, it goes from one idea, one thought bubble to another in such a rapid succession, and to them, they see the coding that leads from one thought bubble to another. And that's great. That's an engineer's thought. They go from one idea to another using codes, and they look at the item, and they look at the description, and they look at it on CAD, or they look at it on some other software, or they draw it out. That's perfectly fine. And to have the idea, I encourage it. They are indeed very, very ingenious in the ways that they can create things. I paired up with a engineer in my final semester, and one of my final semesters for my graduating, in order to graduate, and wow, he had so many ideas for our item, because we ended up having to go into a contest to create this entire item. I had to pair up with 2 engineers and one other entrepreneur, which was my degree, or another business individual, to go through and actually create the idea, create the business plan, create the entire layout of this business, how much we were going to make, how much it was going to cost to make it, and what we were going to do with it. So we had to think about packaging, we had to think about shipping, we had to think about solder, and so we come up with an idea, and it was an outrageous. It was outrageous. And what we ended up doing was coming together and looking at the all-in-one home system. Think about your Alexa, but bigger, built into your house. Actually, we had come up with this idea right before Alexa was released. So when Alexa was released, we looked at each other and we were like, why? Why not? Why not? Oh, I was attacked by a vampire. Night 2, so we're going to go on to a different game. Because I was attacked by a vampire. Wait the 15 seconds, and join lobby. So we had the all-in-one home system where it would connect with your locks, it would connect to your computer, TV, anything that you wanted to connect to it, and it would use the signal from your Wi-Fi to piggyback to all these devices, kind of like what your home kind of does if you have to buy Wi-Fi outlets. Essentially, you'd have to be doing the same thing. EV Vaporeon. So essentially you'd have to kind of do the same thing, but it was voice activated through a terminal, kind of like Alexa. But we had an interface that would be kind of like your alarm system, and it would be a touch screen, and you could communicate with it, and it would have video cameras too. And so you'd have these video cameras posted around your house, kind of like a security system, but they would be able to recognize your face, and they would be able to understand your voice and use voice recognition to go from one person to another and to have parental locks on one person to another. We actually came up with the idea of a smart home. And through the Internet of Things, we actually created this entire business plan, and we created everything to go with this business plan. Hold on. Ah. Okay, so not the SK. Oh, Hoopa. Okay, so I decided to control not the SK tonight. Attack Guy 2. Or no, Attack Tupa. So we came up with this idea. They must be a lookout. I forgot how to play this role, I'm sorry. They were the lookout. Not the SK was the lookout, yes. Yes. So we came up with this idea, and he put together like the materials, the cost, and he was into the business aspect of it too, which became an issue after we had created the cost of each little outlet, because we had created bundles. We created bundles. Like you'd buy the home system, like the Alexa, plus you would buy like 3 cameras, voice remote or voice activated cameras that would connect wirelessly to your device, and it would have a built-in Wi-Fi. So if your home Wi-Fi actually went down, you didn't lose internet or you didn't lose that security system, and you could still unlock your doors and you could still do all that because it would be connected through its own Wi-Fi as well. And from there, it would have an internal battery source, as well as being plugged into the house or into the electrical of the house and have a backup battery source. So it would be able to stay online even when your house essentially went dead and didn't have power. So we came up with this idea. We promoted it or looked into everything. Soldering, like everything I talked to you about that the T-Mouse and the Fireflies had trouble with, such as soldering, molding, trying to go to companies' warehouses. We figured out how much we had to try to get in order to, we actually called, and we figured out how much we had to actually have in order for them to mold something like this. We also figured out a cheaper alternative to having them made brand new was to purchase different like the basic ones that would see your voice and see your face and program it with software so that it would recognize your face and recognize your voice. And from there it was oh, hold on. I want to do Hoopa. There we go. Hoopa. And so from there we cut down on our costs quite a bit because the engineers that I was working with had already looked into that program, had already pre-created a prototype for that program, so it was no problem. Jailer, ooh. well, they both died. That's alright. So we looked into all this and we created our cost analysis and how much it would cost us and how much we should sell it for and what's our profit margins. We also then had to look into like a service, because he had come up with the idea of creating a service, making it a service instead of a standalone buy one time and you get free updates. We created this service, and so I put in this whole call center, and it was just a wow feature, because at one point he's like, we want to have 30 offices with 30 people, or we want to have 30 people. We want to have this, we want to have that. Oh, we don't need that, we don't need this, and then we want this, and then we don't want that. And I'm looking at the numbers, and every time he says something different, I have to redo these numbers. And mind you, this is a actual business proposal and proposition that we actually went and we put into a competition. We ended up getting to the final 16. And of course, it went down to like the final 8 from there. So we don't have a ranking from 8 to 16. It's just one of the final 16. And because we didn't have a prototype ready, we didn't get into the finals. But again, it's just one of those things where there's so much in there that you don't really think about. We had to think. They brought up the ideas of securities. How are we going to protect this from hacking? How are we going to protect this from outside sources, inside sources? How are we going to protect this from internal tampering? What are we going to do if this fails and somebody breaks into the house? What kind of issues are there? And really, they opened all of our eyes to quite a few different things. And it was an interesting event. I enjoyed it a lot. I really did. But it's really, really interesting teaming up with an engineer, with an entrepreneur or business individual who understands that. And I think what a lot of these people have been not understanding or not getting is you need both sides. You need both sides. You can't have the engineer create a business plan without the business individual, and you can't have the business individual creating a prototype or a software or program or a legitimate hardware efficiently. I should say efficiently, because they each can do their own respective parts. They can also look into each other's parts and to try them out. Oh, that's interesting. Night. So I'm going to have Guy 2 kill quite a few people once I find them. So, again, an engineer can be a business person. The business person is simply going to know a lot more on how to deal with these things that are going to pop up, or have more of an understanding that, hey, this is going to pop up, such as the packaging, such as brand, such as quality control understanding, such as understanding what your profit margins are, and then trying to create a buffer so that you have enough in case there is another issue altogether. And of course, from the other end, you can have a business person who has gone into CAD, who has looked into prototyping, who has created a product. In fact, a lot of entrepreneurs do start off with creating products. They have those ideas. It's recommended that an entrepreneur keeps a little diary next to them for when they wake up, because normally entrepreneurs will wake up from a dream. They'll have a dream of something, like an invention, because when you dream, you tend to have crazy ideas. Well, crazy ideas are great. They really are. They're really great. And they're great at making new ideas and new inventions. So you need one. You need both. You need both. One needs the other, and the other needs the one. You really need both. They are a pair. However, that doesn't always happen, and they have to go through learning curves, such as the T-mouse, such as fireflies, such as like the booting. The booting one has actually done a really great job. They have done a great PR. I have no doubt that some of them know the business side effects of it is. I have no doubt that they are engineers and that they know what they're doing with that part, with the software, with the mechanisms inside. They know what they're doing and creating. They have to have somebody else there to create that little elevator pitch to the warehousings, to the funders, the people who fund them. Because you can't just assume that Kickstarter is the only one that's been backing them. No. There has to be other companies and corporates in the Wooting one itself. Oh, there's a full moon out tonight. Who was werewolf again? Guy 2. Guy 2 is going to kill King. Let's say 5. King. Okay, Guy 2. King. I was attacked by a serial killer. Oh, that's funny. I was attacked by a serial killer. But it's always good to have a business individual with you if you're an entrepreneur. It's always good to have if you're an engineer, excuse me. And it's also good to have a engineer with you if you are a business savvy person, like an entrepreneur or a marketing agent or something of that nature. If you have a degree in business in general and you want to create a business and it's in a technology sort of thing, or if any time that an engineer is good, use them. Create those connections. The biggest thing about being a business major or being a business individual is to create those connections, to find that community and create them. Create the connection. That's going to be your biggest issue with creating a business or growing a business and building a business. You have to know who to talk to. It really is that kind of a society. You got to know who's who. There's not much other than that. Of course, you got to know what you're talking about and everything else, but you could be a smooth talker and not know what you're talking about, too, at the same time. I've seen plenty of those. I watched one guy give this great elevator pitch, and at the end, the teacher had to look at him and go, okay, so what was the pitch about? And the guy said, I really don't know. He goes, right, you didn't actually think about what your pitch was. You just gave a pitch. Great job. It was masterful. But it talked about literally nothing. At least not what he was supposed to do. And what did Michael say? Yeah, it wasn't erased, so yay. Serial killer didn't leave a note. That sucks. So that's really all there is to it as far as I am here to say. Again, because I talked about Kickstarter, and I talked about Wooting, and I talked about Fireflies, and T-Mouse, again, I have to say, everybody who is on Kickstarter, who creates a Kickstarting campaign and completes it from start to finish, is a win. No matter what the quality, it has to be a win, in my book. You went from an idea to a prototype, getting funding, and then you created and mass-produced an item that is physically in the customer's hand. That is a win. Because I can tell you, there's for every one actual product out there from Kickstarter, there's probably about 100 products that got to prototype, never got to mass production, and even more so that were ideas that never got to prototype. And even more so that were just thought of but never actually put down on paper. We need those people that are willing to go the full way through. We need those people because we'll never know what we actually need or what makes society better or more efficient until we have it. And so it is worth doing that. So for the guys at Wooting and the guys at Fireflies and the guys at Team Ice and Town of Salem, guys, even though they didn't have any issues, I never received an issue. I think they pushed it back once or twice, but it wasn't too big of an issue. I still was waiting for the game, and I still have my rewards. I still ended up getting my rewards, and it's been a year since I've actually receive them because they gave you the rewards almost as soon as Kickstarter was over. But to all of the Kickstarters, guys, congrats. I know I may be bashing you, but I am simply doing product reviews, and that's on the products. That's not on your will and determination to go through and finish it through. I know how hard it is. I understand. And to that one person that's watching this, just know that anybody can do what they did. Anybody can create a product and put it out on Kickstarter, but it takes a certain individual and a certain kind to follow through the hate comments, through the trenches, through the learning curve, and still produce a product and not give up. And that's what I'm proud of them for. I'm proud to have my T-Mouse. I'm proud to have had my Fireflies while I had them. Of course, they got washed. That's my bad. That is my bad. Otherwise, I would still have the right earbud and I would still be using it. But that's my bad. That's not Firefly's bad that I washed my earbuds. I'm still proud to have what I have. I am proud that I have this in my hand, my T-Mouse in my hand. My Fireflies, I was proud to have those. You have no idea how much I showed those off. I showed those off to all of my friends, everybody I knew. They all loved them. And you know what they did? They went out the very next day and they bought wireless headphones. They enjoyed it so much. To the guys at Town of Salem, guys, I love your card game. I just need more people to play it with me. To really, that's all I really need. But beyond that, there's not too much that can really be said for the Town of Salem card game because it met all of my expectations. The guys for Wooting, keep doing what you're doing. Don't let the haters get in the way. That's probably the main message of all this. Don't let the haters get in the way. It's hard. It's a hard life out there, going through the learning curve, going through the trenches, going through all of the things that are needed to happen in order to go from an idea to a mass-produced product that is in the customer's hand. Do not lose hope. Do not lose hope. That's hard to do. Let me just say, that's hard to do. Because I've had to go through that. And I did lose hope. It was a business idea, and I did lose hope. But that's for another story, at another time. Again, this is me talking about, I guess this is a business. This is just business, me talking business. I'm sorry, guys. I like to talk about business. That's what I graduated with. And I'm proud to have the Kickstarter funded stuff that I have. I may be saying some nasty things about the product quality. I may say some, I wouldn't say demeaning things. I would just say critical things. Being critical about them. I'm not getting paid for any of this. It's not advertised. I'm just a lonely individual talking to a single individual who's watching this one video. Or the other 3 videos if he was interested, or they were interested. He or she. So, that's really it. What more can I say? I'm not getting paid for any of this. I'm just criticizing. I'm criticizing how they did it, the supply chain management. But also, I'm giving them kudos for everything that they've had to go through. And with that, I will bid everybody adieu. That one person that's watching. If you like this video, leave a like. Comment down below. Subscribe. Watch more of my videos if you want. I'll leave it at that. As always, guys, have a nice night. Peace.